Good evening, everybody. We're going to open the meeting up with silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Pizzo, do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
We do. Item number 6 on this evening's agenda, Chase Bank. On Friday, or no, actually yesterday, I apologize. Yesterday, the township received a request from the attorney representing the developer that the matter be continued so as to afford them an opportunity to resolve a few matters with the neighboring property owner on the site. So they've granted us an extension of time to the extent one is needed, and are asking that it be tabled to the next council meeting in November. I apologize, I don't know what that
14th,
date
I think.
is.
14th. Okay, and that's Chase Bank, right, Joe?
That's Chase Bank, item number 6, 1729 Street Road.
Okay, is there a motion to move number 6, Chase Bank, to a date certain of November 14th?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Nobody against? Okay, and another one, Joe?
Yes, we also received yesterday correspondence from the council representing Johnson Development in regard to their proposed land development at 2600 State Road. They have asked that the matter be tabled from this evening in order to continue to work collaboratively to address ongoing concerns, and have asked that the matter be tabled to the council meeting of Monday, November 14. Similarly, an extension of time under the MPC has been granted by the applicant.
Okay, so that's the same meeting, November 14th. Is there a motion to move Johnson's development to November 14th?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a
Second.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay. All right, that's done. Anything else, Joe?
Finally, just in terms of the agenda for this evening, the applicant for item number 11, which is preliminary land development for TIC Associates, council representing TIC has another meeting to be to this evening, lucky him, and has asked if consideration of item 11 might be moved forward on your agenda to ahead of items numbers 8 and 9. The council representing the applicants for 8 and 9, which is Mr. Toadvine, has no objection to council rearranging its agenda to accommodate Mr. Murphy and moving item 11 forward on your agenda to ahead of item 8.
Okay, so we could make it 6 or?
5A.
Yeah,
Sure.
5A.
I'll make a motion that we move it to
6.
5A.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, so they're moved.
That's all, those are the only changes of which I'm aware, Mr.
Okay,
Knowles.
thank you.
Moving along pretty well, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Okay, number 3 on the agenda is approval, we have public comment for agenda items. We will have opportunities for people to speak on agenda items as they come up. So we're closing that. So approval of council minutes for the meeting date September 27, 2022. Is there any changes to the minutes that anybody has a question about or would like to make? I didn't see anything. Okay. So does someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, so the minutes are accepted. Okay, so number 4 on the agenda is an amendment for the 2019 Community Development CARES Act Fund. Joe, do you have this or what we're doing here?
Sure. The memorandum from the mayor, I think, explains it all. This is an instance where the township received what are referred to as CARES Act regulation, or CARES Act regulation funds, which are funds that the township received through the Department of Housing and Urban Development in relation to the COVID pandemic. As time has now since passed, and some of those funds had yet to be expended, the needs of the township in terms of those expenditures have changed, and in order to reallocate those funds to other purposes that are permitted under housing and urban development regulations, it requires that the township present it to you and that you publicly vote to amend the 2019 Community Development CARES Act funds allotments for the township. As you'll see, under the notice that it's attached to the memorandum, it would have the funds going to the rental assistance program, to the program administration costs, to increase it would take funds from the rental assistance program and transfer them to the food bank program and to the senior center. So if council is in agreement with what the administration's proposing, a motion to approve the amendment would be in order.
Okay.
I'd like to make a
questions? You want to make it? Oh, go hold on a second. Is there any questions from any council members?
No,
If
I'm
not-
just going to make a note that it's basically transferring $160,000 from the two programs to the two new ones, senior citizens and the food bank.
Okay, so we have seniors and food bank. They're both eligible. Do we have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve amendment for the 2019 Community Development CARES Act Fund.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, that's good. Okay. Number 5 on the agenda, consideration of reduction of permit fees for the Bridge Clinic Whole Food for Paul's Incorporated, located at 1 Declaration Drive, Bensalem.
Yes, this, as council receives from time to time, is a request for a reduction in the township's permit fees. In this case, the application, as you indicated, Mr. Knowles, comes from the Bridge Clinic, located at 1 Declaration Drive. They're planning on building an addition onto their veterinary clinic there. As you're aware, or as council is aware, and is attached to the request, is certification of their status as a 501c3 tax-exempt corporation. As such, they are eligible for consideration by you of the reduction in the fees from $890 down to $452.
Now, so this is a nonprofit for animal care, is that what it is?
Yes, and they are also an active participant in the township's feral cat ordinance that was
Okay, yeah.
adopted at a recent
Yes.
meeting.
Okay, good.
They're one of the entities that deals with the
Colonies.
the spaying and neutering of the cats.
Where are they located, John? I see the address.
It's the old daycare.
Oh, the old day
The old
camp.
day
yeah,
camp.
Cherokee.
Thank you.
Now, they can't do the 1350, correct? It says on here that they can't.
That's correct.
So then it's not 452 they're going to be waived for, right? Or is that the,
No, you're correct, Mr. Polari. You'll see as you go from the original fee over to the calculated at 50%, it's highlighted. That fee doesn't change, so we're leaving that at $1350.
okay.
Okay, so it is correct that the new total will be 452?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, so does someone make a motion that we approve this
I'll put it in
permit?
motion to approve it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay, that's approved. Okay. I think it was 11. Okay. Uh, 5A is was moved from number 11, so consideration of preliminary land development for TIC Associates LLC, 4630 Somerton Road, Industrial Manufacturing Office. Is there someone who has this?
Good evening, I'm Ed Murphy. Thank you for the consideration about letting me jump up a little bit, and thanks to Alan for allowing me to do that as well. Tonight, we hope, is the culmination of a process that Council's been familiar with for well over a year now when we first introduced it. It is the effort by J.G. Petrucci, who was the purchaser of the GE, now Suez property, to subdivide and then develop it in the front, retain the piece of Suez in the back, but develop the front piece in concert with a industrial firm known as Weber Display and Packaging that makes high-quality boxes and cardboard displays for businesses, both in-store and otherwise. And we introduced it informally, received encouragement to keep proceeding, which we have done. The plans have been submitted and reviewed in the normal course by your various boards and commissions and consultants. Most recently, we presented the plans to your Planning Commission in September and received a unanimous recommendation of approval. We're here tonight seeking the same action by council. We have, through Phil's office, received the various review letters we've discussed with Phil's office. We have no issue with the review comments offered by not only Phil's office, but also Fire Marshal and the other consultants as well. We had, and would like to show you if you're interested, 2-minute video, a little bit of background for those that may not be familiar with Weber and what they do, literally 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
And if there's anything of consequence you want to talk about in terms of review letters or things like that, we can do it, but I think the 2-minute video will give you a flavor for those who are unfamiliar with a little bit of Weber's background and where they are today and why they're interested in coming to Bensalem.
Ed, while that's running, could you get me the notices? Thank you.
Property owner notice. Ken has them.
Our company was founded in 1893 by David Weber, and in 1991, my father, Jim Doherty Jr., purchased the Philadelphia plant from the Chesapeake Corporation.
Our first product was for a company called Stetson Hat, which back in the day was every man wore hats, and we produced the boxes that the hats went into. It's a great story that a company has been in one industry and one location since the late 1800s.
Well, there's certainly not very many companies that can brag that they've been here for 125 years and still being successful on top of that. I think we've really been successful because of our people.
We've all seen all the old photos on the wall of the building being built and all the advertisements from the 50s and the Greater Philadelphia magazines. I find it as an incredibly exciting opportunity to try to extend on the legacy of people who came before us.
You can only hope that, it continues to grow and continues to last 125 more years.
The facility that we've been in right now, we've been in for 93 years. Today we employ about 170 people. Our sales are nearly $70 million.
I think you can buy a lot of corrugated products without much personal interaction, but when we do it, we have a touch to it, and we, I think, hit the mark more often than we don't.
The future brings a craziness that the country is going through as a whole with speed to market, quick turnarounds, and competitive pricing.
And the future looks very bright for Weber Display and Packaging.
So as you heard in that video, presently Weber is at 3500 Richmond Street. And they've been there for almost, that video is a couple years old, but they've been there in that building for, actively doing it for 120 years. And they're simply out of space. And Weber has been looking for quite some time, years, for a new home to relocate that business. And because they're so heavily dependent on their employees, many of whom have been there for a long, long time, they are reluctant to relocate too far away from where they are at 3500 Richmond Street. So they had a very limited radius that they were prepared to relocate to if they could find space. And Bensalem happens to be one of them. And it's within that radius that their employees, they'll be retained, and there won't be attrition for fear that the employees would not be able to continue to be employed by Weber. So about a year and a half ago, we've been focused on this particular site, and the plans in front of you contemplate Weber constructing an approximate 375,000 square foot manufacturing facility. That would be consolidating not only the main plant on Richmond Street, but a couple other locations that Weber also has in the city, so that the entire operation, essentially what will happen here is Weber will have to build a new plant before they disassemble the one on Richmond Street, because they can't afford not to have the plant operating while they're building a new one. The equipment is large, some of it's longer than a city block, so it is a monumental undertaking to dismantle a plant while you're building a brand new plant. So it is a logistical challenge to do all this, but the good news is that they are committed to moving forward. They're pushing 200 people now, all unionized, multiple different unions that make up that workforce, and it will be a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. It is not a warehouse, it is a manufacturing facility. The little clip that you saw, they make everything they produce, and you probably got a little glimpse of the types of things they do and the firms they do it for. Tasty Cake, Dietz & Watson, a lot of the local firms in the area they have their packaging produced by Weber. So all in all, I think it's a really positive impact on Weber, on the township, and I think we're all fortunate to be able to bring that kind of project to Bensalem. So and that's why we're here tonight, and we hope that if there's any specific questions, we'll be happy to answer about the plans, but that's where we're headed, and that's the next step.
I have a question regarding stormwater management. We see an improvement here, but is your projection with consideration to what's been requested in your waiver regarding the planting strip and sidewalks in its place and other water and sewage?
Sure. So Justin Giannotti with Dynamic Engineering, project engineer. So yeah, so as part of tonight's request, we're asking for waivers from a couple of SADO requirements. The planting strip is just in front of the building. So there's going to be a large portion of the site that's going to still be vegetated. The site today has no stormwater management as part of this plan. We're going to bring the entire site up to current standards. That's township DEP. And in addition to that, it's water quality, rate control, and volume reduction.
And
So
the point being that it's going to be an improvement.
A substantial improvement.
Okay.
Correct.
And then my other question was, we have our last communication from the fire department was that you're being rejected for a couple of reasons. Has that been cleared? Are we?
That has been cleared. We did have a meeting last week about some of the requirements, and it's mainly pertaining to hydrant spacing. So we had a meeting with him. We understand what he needs. We already submitted a revised plan complying with those requests. We just haven't had that second letter of issuing that he accepts our plan, but we will comply with everything, and we've already had that discussion with him as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's see if we can go through your letter here, and then we can get questions to various people. So if you want to go over quickly your waivers that you are requesting, so we know what the waivers are. It looks like you have listed 4 on your front page.
Sure. So there's 4 listed on the letter in front of you. We have since amended that letter to remove 1 waiver at the recommendation of the Planning Commission. So I'm going to walk through them. The first one is to request the application to be considered as both a preliminary and a final application. So the plans submitted comply with all the final plan requests, and we've been through the process now for a year and a half, so we're just asking for consideration to combine them.
Okay.
The next is to request the elimination of a planting strip of an average width of 10 feet along the frontage of the building. We have a number of renderings which we're happy to share, but we're buffering around the outside of the building, and for ADA access and for site accessibility constraints, we want that sidewalk.
Are you skipping 2, or you just want 1 to 3?
Was 2 the request for a sidewalk to be
Yes.
along?
Yes.
That was the request that has been eliminated. So at the request
Okay.
of both the planning commission and your township engineer, there was a desire for there to be sidewalk along Summerton Road.
Okay.
We have waived that, we have rescinded that request, and we
Okay,
are going to
good.
be installing the sidewalk.
So that turns into a will comply.
That's a will comply.
Okay, so you have 1, what was 3, and then number 4,
And number 4, lastly, this is a
stormwater pipe or something?
stormwater pipe to be plastic pipe. It's HDPE is really the new industry standard to use on site. The ordinance requires concrete pipe. It's not necessarily required anymore. PennDOT, all municipalities really allow HDPE pipe.
Phil, your agreement with that?
Yes, in fact, there's been many performance standards now for this flexible pipe that's being used nationally and in the region. So we're going to be recommending that. It will still be a waiver for the time being until we can change our ordinances.
Okay. Okay, and then on the letter from our traffic engineer, or yeah.
So I can understand. We have subdivision land development ordinance comments. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, right? So you're asking for a waiver of 4?
No,
What else?
we were going off the letter in the front from Dynamic,
I'm going through the, I'm
I think you,
sorry.
Ed, you may have an older waiver letter, maybe?
I don't know, you had this front
I
letter
was
here.
going
that-
from Phil's.
Yeah, I was getting to that. That's what I was
It's
gonna
looking
go.
at the township review letter, you're looking at
Exactly.
the.
I just wanted to,
applicant's-
they listed the waivers on the front
Correct.
letter. So I thought it'd be easy
So
to pick
there's
them out
only
of
3
there.
now. There
and
were
we can
4
go-
now. Everything else will comply.
Now we'll go through the whole letter, Ed, sorry.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so Ed, you're working off October 12th letter?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so October 12th, okay, so you have zoning variances that were all received, right? There's no open zoning matters, right, for the zoning board, okay. Okay, so then subdivision and land ordinance comments, they're just comments, and they're all will complies? Okay, and then the sidewalk on Somerton is a will comply now, right?
Yes. That is one of the waivers that was being requested.
So you're asking for a waiver?
For
That's
3
correct.
items, Ed, right, that we just went through, and that's one of them.
Okay, can you name them as you go along as we?
Sure. And so as we go through the Saldo comments, number 1 is preliminary plan. That's just to add additional features to our plan, which is a will comply.
Okay,
The 20110 for curbs, that's a will comply as well.
yeah, because it doesn't say, okay.
211 for sidewalks, that is now a will comply. It was previously a waiver, but now a will comply.
Okay,
Number 201, 112 for motor vehicle parking facilities, this is one of the waivers that are being requested that we just went over. Number 5 regarding.
that's the planning strip portion of the motor vehicle, right?
Yes, sir, so
Okay, go ahead.
along the building.
Okay,
Number 5 pertains to water and sewer. This is just we acknowledge this comment that we need a sewer planning. That's a will comply.
6
Okay.
is a will comply.
And 6 is about species of plants. It's a will comply. Moving on to the stormwater management ordinance comments, this is really just a regurgitation of our report, just signifying how we're going to be bringing the site into compliance with township standards from both
Okay.
township and DEP. That's a will comply as well.
okay. All right, are we gonna do it here? Now, is behind this building, are we addressing there's gonna be an office on the B lot?
Yeah, Justin has a slide he can show you.
So you look at this is the existing features of the property. So this is as it is today. Part of the application, this front building's going to be coming down, and then this building's going to be coming down.
Right,
And as you move through, so this is the existing features. There's 2 plan sets. Phase 1 is just showing the demolition of that existing building and the other existing building, and the reconstruction of an access road to serve Suez. So all these buildings back here are going to remain office buildings for Suez on a separate lot. All the parking facilities will be left in place to serve that facility. Moving on to phase 2 of the plan, this is where you see the construction of that manufacturing facility along the frontage of the road.
Right.
So that's
Okay,
all.
are there any insurances in our zoning or otherwise that the back would remain an office building? Like I'm a little concerned that you have a manufacturing building in the front, and then you sell the office building later to another manufacturer, and then you have more trucks coming through the A
The
line.
lease that Suez has with Petrucci, the owner, is another 12 years. So that's all I know, that it's going to remain there for that length of period of time. Suez wanted, as part of its sale to Petrucci, wanted to retain for at least 12 years the opportunity to continue to lease that space in the back, so.
Okay, Joe, is there anything that can be done zoning-wise or restriction-wise, or just say that it's an office and not a manufacturing? Or is it too?
Well, the one question that I had, which is sort of along the lines of yours, Mr. Knowles, is I didn't see on the plans, but it may be there and I just missed it, an indication of an access easement from Lot B out to Somerton Road. I see
That is a
I see the
condition.
driveway shown, but I don't see any sort of an easement over the separate parcel.
Right, that's in the review letters, and that is a condition of approval that we have to provide that access, part of which will be on the future Weber lot, that they'll get back there with that. So that's,
May I ask a question? In zoning, was it not discussed to move the drive over
We
and
did.
give that? And will that be part of the Suez property in the back?
Sure. So during the zoning, the line that you see on the plan for the subdivision line was under discussion. We originally had all of the access coming off of the right side of the plan, as you look at the plan, along the subdivision. So they made us move the subdivision line to the other side for that reason, so that we're protecting the residents and all access is taken through that one driveway, which aligns with Metropolitan, the industrial complex across the street today. So this driveway, which serves Suez, lines up directly across the street from the existing industrial. And that's the driveway where Suez is going to take access. They did not want that access point to occur on the other side closest to the residential.
Yeah. So in answer to your
yeah.
question, Mr. Knowles, the way that the township assures that the rear parcel doesn't become a second industrial center is to rezone it. Once you effectuate this subdivision to make the front industrial, if you want the back to remain offices, as it's being represented, that's what the intention is, then the way you would do it would be to rezone it for offices and not for industrial.
Okay, and they have a 12-year lease, so we've got a little bit of time, I guess, to do that if that's what we want to do.
Is that two properties then? Is that?
That's
It will be.
Part of what you're being asked to
Subdivide,
do is to subdivide the front from the back.
right.
They will then build the manufacturing center for Weber on the front, who is leasing the entity that owns the entire parcel is asking to subdivide it so that they can then lease the front half to Weber, who will
Sell
knock
it.
down.
They're going to sell, Weber is going to own
Oh, Weber
its
is going to own
property.
it? Okay.
That makes
Yes.
sense.
So Weber's going to own it.
I understand that, why you would build
And then
it.
there's a 12-year lease on the property for them to stay
In the
there.
back.
Correct.
On the back.
Yeah, right.
Weber will own fee title to the piece
Both.
that it wants to build its new manufacturing facility. Petrucci will continue to own the rear portion.
Oh, okay.
Subject to the lease with Suez for 12 years.
Okay.
At least 12 years.
Did you have first right of purchase for that rear in your?
Yes. We are negotiating that, that's correct.
Current
So-
zoning on, I'm sorry,
No, that's okay, go
the
ahead.
current zoning on each property, it's now one parcel. What's the current zoning?
They're both GI, or the parcel right now is
Industrial
GI, so they'll both be GI once you subdivide, if you subdivide.
Okay. So how would that, we would have to...
Well, we're saying we would do it later if we wanted to stay
If we
office.
needed
could
to
take
keep
once it's a
Suez
separate lot, we could
lot.
make Suez, do a zoning change
A
for Suez
business
to be
change.
office.
And that wouldn't cause any issue?
Well, what Joe's saying, they're telling us they want to make that into office space, so if we zone it accordingly, if they're telling us the truth, it should be no problem.
Right, I mean, there's not an issue with the...
I know as
like,
part of the
spot zoning.
township's vetting of this project up to this point, part of the consideration has been that the rear would not be industrial as well as the front. That the rear would remain office, which was, at least part of, as the township was vetting this, particularly in terms of the proximity of the property to the residential properties nearby, that you wouldn't have manufacturing or industry both in the front and in the back. Again, as you've heard this evening, the intent is, and the lease is, at least for the moment, that the offices in the rear would remain as such. But, if tomorrow, for whatever reason, the office were to close up shop, then yes, whatever's permitted use in GI would be a permitted use on that rear acreage.
But that doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing right here.
No. Other than the fact that Mr. Knowles asked a question,
Right,
no.
so we can go forward with this and handle
do that later.
Figure the
Yes,
other-
yes.
We're gonna do the other
Let
later.
me ask you this, as a gentleman's agreement, would you be willing to come to the township and make a presentation that you would request a change of zoning to allow offices to be there?
I'll be happy to take that back to Petrucci. I don't think Greg's not here this evening, so.
Yeah, it'd be better if you were cooperative with it.
Oh, that's
but
right,
we
yeah,
could
that'd
do
be
it
a
anyway.
different, you'd be dealing with a different firm and a different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Happy to
You don't own it.
bring it back to him, but
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just putting it out there for
Understood.
All right,
consideration.
and could you, another question would be, could you discuss the buffer that you're providing to that kind of provides a buffer, making an office to the neighbor in the back, okay? But the buffer that we discussed
On the side,
between
yeah.
now and the side, between Beechwood, I think it is, the
Sure.
new development.
So this is just an overhead view of which is going to be a 3D rendering. You'll see that Beechwood Estates is the residential community to the right of the page, just to the east of the property. You'll see between the residential community and the proposed manufacturing use, there's already an existing buffer which was there as part of the Beechwood Estates. They had a walking trail and a buffer that was already in place between that residential use and what's always been an industrial use. As part of this improvement, there's been discussions with township staff. There's going to be a substantial buffer that is added between the two uses, which you see here is substantial plantings which are going to be installed to actually enhance the buffer that's already there today. And in doing so, just due to the topography of this site, you'll see that the manufacturing building itself is actually set at a much lower elevation than the neighboring residential use. We did that on purpose so that the area between the residential and that access drive is actually a berm, which actually puts the landscaping at a higher elevation, which actually helps to screen that building as you drive down the road.
that walking path that you see on that screen exists today. That's not an artist's depiction. That exists. That's part of the development of Beechwood Estates. The property line is right on the edge of that walking trail, so everything to the west of that is going to be additional open space, owned by Weber, but protected that way.
Your ordinance requires 90 feet of green space between the property line and any sort of improvement, which we're providing. The building's another 200 feet away from that, so between the property line and the building, you're at least about 300 feet away, with an enhanced buffer and substantial grade differential.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Is there any other questions from council members? Okay, is there anybody in the public would like to come and speak for or against this plan? Okay, seeing no one come forward, is there a motion to approve this as a preliminary and final, which is one of their requests, with the will complies and
I put a form of motion, Mr. President, that we approve the applicant, based on the October 12th, 2022 traffic planning and design letter. And relative to this, the applicant will comply with all the zoning issues that have been resolved to this date. And we go to subdivision and land development ordinance. I'm going to go to section 4. I'm going to ask that the applicant will going to comply with 1, 2, 3. I'm going to ask that we grant a waiver for number 4, and the applicant will comply with 5 and 6. The applicant also will comply with the stormwater management that's presented to us. And that's what I have. Joe, you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, as was suggested at the outset of the hearing, that the applicant will comply with all of the requirements of the township fire marshal and the fire rescue department as they apply to the plan, that the applicant will comply with the requirements of the August 31, 2022 traffic review of TPD, that the applicant will provide to the township engineer and the township solicitor for review and approval deeds for the newly created lots, which reflect the easement as well as
Any easements
an
required.
easement agreement that for access from Lot B to Lot A. Those would be the conditions for council. And just one parenthetical, if you could please, I'm not sure, I know they're not a part of what council has here, but the elevations and the artist renderings that you presented this evening, if you could forward those to the Director of Building and Planning so that they could be made a part of the file and the record of this evening's hearing, that would
Happily.
be appreciated.
Yep.
And all the letters are in compliance, right?
Yes.
Yep, the letters in compliance.
Yeah, they were previous, the notices of this evening's hearing were previously presented to the Township Director of Building and Planning. I conferred with him, and he advised that they are in order.
Okay, so Mr. Kisselback's a motion, and Mr. Polari just seconded the motion. All in favor of the preliminary and final land development for TIC Associates at 4630 Somerton Road, say aye. Aye. Any against? Okay.
Good, thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Did you hear him? This is part of it, too. It's a lot of paper. What's going on, Joe? 4 fights. How about the fight in Phil's? Did they start yet? Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is number 8. Is that correct? Okay, we had 5A. We're skipping 6 and 7. Number 8 is consideration of preliminary and final development for, you got to help me here, Sir
Sri Jatri.
Jatri. Sir Jatri Corporation? That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay. 4,000 Bristol Pike, the new hotel that was in the AD Apartment District in GC General Commercial. Okay, now that's been changed, hasn't it, the zoning?
It has.
Yeah, right.
It has.
So, Joe, that's all general commercial now, right?
Yes, the property, the plans may not have caught up with everything else, or the submissions may not have caught up with it, but the property, by court stipulation, was rezoned in its entirety to GC General Commercial. The apartment district was eliminated as part of that,
Right.
those court proceedings.
That's what I thought.
And the lots are to be consolidated into a single lot as well.
Okay. All right, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm here on behalf of Sri Jatri Corporation. My name's Alan Toadvine. I'm with the firm of Bagley Carlin. The site's comprised of 2 tax parcels, 02-076-070 and 02-076-074-001. Both parcels total approximately 2.21 acres. Currently, there is a 1-story hotel with approximately 20 rooms, known as the Scottish Inns and Suites, and that's on tax parcel 02-076-070, the property that was formerly zoned AD. The other tax parcel is currently vacant. The plan before you tonight proposes the demolition of the existing 20-room hotel and construction of a new 3-story, 75-room Avid hotel that, as you can see from the display, will straddle the 2 tax parcels, which, as Mr. Pizzo mentioned, are to be combined and made one. On September 28th of 2021, the settlement agreement and stipulation was entered as an order of the court in a land use appeal filed by the applicant at Bucks County Docket 2021-1511. I believe you have a copy of that stipulation and agreement, which provided for variances, special exception to allow hotel use, and the rezoning of the tax parcel with the existing hotel from AD to GC, General Commercial. This proposed three-story hotel will be branded Avid, which is one of the hotels and resorts of IHG, which is a multinational hospitality company. Their other brands include Holiday Inn Express, Atwell Suites, Holiday Inn Club, Hotel Indigo, and Regent, among others. This will be marketed as a hotel for the business traveler. And the reason I say that is the room sizes that are proposed are slightly smaller than the room sizes of a typical or average hotel. There is no restaurant proposed, there is no bar proposed. The only food that will be served at this location will be a continental breakfast without the need for any cooking facilities. So we're talking coffee, Danish, orange juice, those kind of things. The hotel, as I said, will consist of 75 rooms, a pool, a gym, and a small pantry area where the continental breakfast will be served. There will be no conference room. The plans before you tonight are dated October 12th, 2021. They've been revised 3 times with the last revision date of September 15th, 2022. We are requesting waivers, and for the council's edification, I could provide you with a list of those requested waivers along with
I think we have that.
justification. That's an old one, so we wanted to update it
Thank you.
and provide you with the current.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have John Richardson tonight from Dumac Engineering. He'll just review quickly the site and then go through the requested waivers and the comments for the township professional review letters. There is one issue that I wanted to bring out at the beginning, and that is the denial of the fire marshal to the original plan. We've been working with the fire marshal, and I believe that Mr. Pizzo will advise you that we have satisfied the fire marshal's concerns by way of several tweaks to the plan. Mr. Richardson can go into more detail. I can tell you that basically what we're doing is we're adding an additional fire hydrant. There was 1 proposed, we now have 2. We're relocating both of those fire hydrants. If you're looking at the plan, they would be on either end of the hotel on the rear portion away from Route 13. He also requested some bollards and a chain across the fire lane on the side of the building to the left of the plan, and asked for the relocation of the fire department connection to the loading dock, which we've agreed to, and also the removal of some shrubbery so that the fire department connection is highly visible. So that was the gist of the conversation, and I believe once we go through the review letter, that will be item number 29. So, and I know the review letter looks extensive, but so the council understands, of all the comments, there are 4 that are will comply. 11 of the comments are waivers that we're requesting. 1 comment is informational in nature. The other comment had to do with the fire marshal. They're the saldo comments. And then with the stormwater management ordinance, Basically, they're either will complies or requesting waivers. So it's, even though it looks like it's a lengthy, convoluted review, in fact, I think you'll see that it's pretty straightforward. So with that, I don't know how you would wish to proceed, Mr. Knowles, but...
Yeah, he can present this, and then if we have any questions, we'll have an opportunity to
Okay.
ask him questions, I guess.
All right.
That's good.
So the T&M review letter dated October 6th of 2022, that's the third review letter. I'll go through that. The first page, there's nothing on. The second page, these are all, again, just informational comments. The third page, item number 1 is will comply.
Is this under subdivision, or?
Yes, this is under subdivision and land development.
Okay, so you're talking about D, Chapter 202 on
Yes.
page 3.
On page 3, D1 is a will comply.
Okay, will comply.
On page 4, D6 is a will comply. Number 11 is a will comply. Number 14 is a will comply. And then 15, 19, 20, and 21, and 22B, and 21B and 21C are waivers, as is 22.
So that's 15, 19, the 16 and 18 are done. 19, 20, 21 and 22?
21, 21B, 21C, and 22 are all waivers.
Okay.
23, again, as I said, is just a comment. It's been addressed. I believe that the township's traffic engineer is to just review the ADA ramps and crosswalks for compliance, but they've been added to the plan. 24.
Okay, so that's a will comply then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
24 is a waiver. 26 is a waiver. 27 is a waiver. 28 is a will comply. 29 is the issue I just addressed with the fire marshal, so that's a will comply. We will comply with the fire marshal's requests. 31 is a waiver. So that covers your subdivision and land development ordinance comments. As far as the stormwater management ordinance is concerned, number 4 is a will comply. We have to get a PennDOT permit, so obviously they will be reviewing the widening of the roads. Number 5 is a will comply. Number 13 is a will comply. Number 15, we're requesting a waiver. Number 18, we're requesting a waiver. Number 19, again, we're requesting a waiver. And number 20, we're requesting a waiver. 23 is a will comply. And then under general comments, there's really only one comment. That's number 2, submit a construction cost estimate. That's a will comply. So that covers your township engineer's review letter. Would you like to go into the traffic?
Well,
Or would
I'd
you
like
discuss
to
that?
maybe have somebody that could generally tell us what each waiver is.
Oh, yes, sure. I didn't know if you wanted to cover that now or after we went through all the...
No, I'd rather
Okay.
cover that.
So I'll
now.
have Mr. Richardson go through those waiver requests.
So we can have a general idea what the waivers are, and then Phil can make sure that he's
Right.
fine with them.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good, I'd like to refer to the letter that we're referring to, that Mr. Tovine just elaborated on, then you can specifically refer to the waivers on your DUMAC
Yeah,
engineering.
go through the same letter, each point that we just went through.
So this is in regard to number 15 from T&M's letter. This is the waiver request. The first one is 201-106A2A6, and it's a waiver request to allow grading within 3 feet of a property line.
Again, where's that reference to?
you're doing a different letter.
We just asked you to do it the opposite way.
Okay, do the letter October 6, 2022, and go through the numbers that we just did. So the first one would be grading, 15.
Yeah.
That's
what he was doing.
Is that what you're doing?
Well, he was giving us that one. but
Well, you
I
said a
don't
different
recall saying
number.
15.
I didn't hear the number
I didn't
15
hear
either.
15 either.
You did say 15.
Okay, did you? Okay, all right, go ahead.
We didn't
So this
hear
is 15?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
That's allowed grading within 3 feet of a property line.
okay,
The project is, the property's already been developed. There's existing features and modified topography within 3 feet. To remove some of those features, we have to provide grading within 3 feet of a property line.
okay, you're fine with that, Phil?
In general, Mr. President, we're fine with the waiver as requested. Again, they fall on council's lap with regard to the specific designation of whether you'd like them or not, like to proceed. T&M did the initial review and opined on some of these waivers, saying whether they are in agreement or not.
Okay.
The rest were just kind of more of a, like this particular one, it's of no general relevance as far as the nature of the whole property.
Okay, so if you just have a particular objection to
But
one, then you can just.
I'll bring that
comment.
up.
Okay,
That's better.
all right, good. Okay, so you're on, that was so 19.
That was 15, so now we're on 19,
Yeah,
which is section 201-108C4A, and that is to permit access drives to have a minimum radius of 10 feet instead of the required 20. That location is at that intersection right there of the driveway, and the geometry is such that we don't have the physical room to get the required radius in. We're trying to provide the driveway the most clearance that we could from Bristol Pike by shifting it farther away. We believe that our truck turning diagrams have shown that 10 foot is adequate in that area.
okay, and they said they have no objection to
no
that waiver.
objection.
Okay, number 20?
20 is from section 201-108C6B1, and it's to allow the center line of access roads and driveways at point intersections to a street line should not be closer than to the adjacent street intersection, and following distances for all non-residential subdivisions and land development, 200 feet if either street A or B is an arterial. Once again, it's a limitation of the physical size of the property. We can't provide that separation.
Okay, but
Show
you're
me
providing
the distance.
175?
So that distance is from there to there.
And I believe we're
175?
providing 182 feet.
182, okay. Okay, next?
Number 21, from section 201-104B1, and is to permit the existing roadway widths along portions of Gray Avenue, Totem Road, and Neshaminy Street to remain, to permit Neshaminy Street to have a roadway width of 18 feet instead of the required 28 to 32 feet. The rationale here is that we're either maintaining or slightly widening the streets in the neighborhoods. None of the streets in that immediate facility or in the immediate area are in compliance with the ordinance, and we're more or less maintaining or slightly widening.
Okay, 21B?
21B is from section 201-110B. That is to require curbs and road winding on Neshaminy Street and a portion of Gray Avenue. So as part of the project, we're proposing to curb from the Totem Road driveway around Totem, along Bristol, and along Gray to just past our other driveway entrance. That leaves the remainder of Gray and Neshaminy Street without any curbing. That is the existing condition in that area. We're proposing to maintain the existing condition. There's no curbs along any of those streets in that neighborhood.
We're willing to pay a fee in lieu of for that.
That's what I was going to ask next,
Yes.
okay, so for the fee in lieu of, for the
Correct.
non-existing curb.
May I say something?
And the next one, which is 21C.
Okay, hold on a second, Ms. Champion has
Oh,
a
sorry.
question in reference to that.
So one of the things is, while we don't have curbs and sidewalks now, you're improving the property. So on that back part, we do have residences back there, and we do have children back there who do walk down to the street. And given the fact that there's going to be more traffic, I appreciate the fact you're putting in the front, but I would rather see curbs go all the way back to Neshaminy Street on Gray Avenue, and sidewalks. I'm sorry, curbs and sidewalks. Thank you.
Just to the intersection.
Just that intersection?
All the way down there, because then it'll take it all the way down, because you do have houses that go back there that do have children that get on the school bus, that this way they're walking straight down on the sidewalk and not having to walk in grass or whatever.
You're not widening the road, so they need somewhere to go.
So, just so we're clear, it would just be that portion then on the Chamonix Street?
No, not on Neshaminy, on Gray.
I'm sorry, Gray.
Neshaminy's on the backside.
Yeah, just on Gray, to the end of Gray.
I would love it if you did it on Neshaminy, but, you know, I will take it to Gray. I would take it to Gray.
Okay, so that's,
Sure, that's fine.
okay, that's fine, okay.
Well, that's up to them, right? Might as well do.
It's up to you.
Oh, well.
Okay, so it's curbs.
If you're going to pay for in lieu of, why would you not just do both? Is what I'm
Well,
saying.
because there are no curbs in that back neighborhood.
But it'll
so
also help with water runoff, would it not? I don't know.
I can't answer that question.
Curbing actually consolidates the runoff. It helps channelize it. By letting it flow off the pavement, it helps disperse it and spread it out.
So to that point there, Neshaminy Street, it goes down and it'll go down across the paper street that goes across the way and then goes over to, then it'll go to the creek. Will this be sitting higher? Are there any berms there on the back that'll be sitting higher that would prohibit any water from Neshaminy Street coming down for those houses there? For the natural flow of what's coming off of Neshaminy. I know that Neshaminy goes down to Neshaminy Creek, and there is a paper street on the other side.
So the primary drainage in the area is kind of from up this way, coming down through here, and then down like that. That general direction will be maintained. We are collecting some of it and bringing it down Gray where we'll be collecting it. But kind of what flows along here will basically maintain its existing, or we'll actually be capturing some on our parking lot and bringing it down, because there are some drainage that comes along here. So we'll be capturing that and bringing it down into our.
So this won't be adding anything to those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses that
Along
are on
here?
the paper street?
No, actually it'll be decreasing because we're
It'll be
intercepting some of
decreasing
that
it.
flow.
Okay, and then one other question. Are there any underground stormwater basins here or no?
Not currently.
Everything's just
We're-
straight?
Not currently, and we're proposing an underground basin that wraps around like that.
Okay, it was a little hard to tell on the
Okay,
thing.
just to be clear,
Apologize.
Ms. Champion, so you're saying curbs and sidewalks on Gray, but
I'm fine with not on
You're okay with
Neshaminy.
not on Neshaminy, so we'll pay in lieu of curbs and sidewalks on
Correct.
Neshaminy, okay?
Okay.
And that may help with the,
That'll help with the
prevent
water channel
water-
coming down then
yes.
too.
Okay, all right, so
The next
21
one is in regard to 21C.
21C,
It's from section 20111A. It's to not require sidewalks be installed along Neshaminy Street on a portion of Gray. The sidewalks follow the exact same direction that the curbs did, where we're installing them from that intersection down around. As we just agreed, we will install the sidewalks down to the intersection
okay,
of Gray.
You'll do
curbs and sidewalks on
Yes.
Gray,
Thank you,
And pay the fee in lieu of for the balance.
thank you.
okay? All right, and then 22,
22 is from section 20111B to permit a minimum 14-inch wide planting strip between the curb and sidewalk instead of the required 4 feet. Where we are providing curbing sidewalk along here and along Bristol and along Gray, the right-of-way and the sidewalk are tight to each other as we've proposed it, and we are providing a small amount of road widening in this area and along Bristol, about 2 feet or so. And that is occurring is it's pushing the sidewalk back tight to the right-of-way. So we've maximized that space between the sidewalk and the curb, but it varies down to about 14 inches. The requirement is 4. It varies from about 14 inches to 3 feet.
okay. Okay, so that's what you can do when you're doing the curbs and sidewalks. So number 24,
24 is from section 201-112H, and it's to permit parking within 12 feet of the right-of-way line and other property lines instead of the required 15 feet. We've actually received a variance from this. It's also in the zoning ordinance. We received that variance, and the two ordinances follow each other.
okay, so you're getting a waiver anyway from variance. Okay, 26,
26 is from section 201-112P, and as to not require proposed parking areas to be visually excluded from the street frontages. Due to the size of the site and the topography of the site, it would be hard to do that. The site is generally speaking higher than Bristol Bristol Pike, and we are providing landscaping essentially in lieu of those berms.
Okay. 27?
27 is from section 201, 114H2, and that is to not require dumpster area to be landscaped on 3 sides. The rationale for this is we're providing landscaping on 2 sides, and the 3rd side is the loading zone / fire lane.
And there's no objection from the township engineer.
Okay.
And essentially, that side is somewhat shielded by the building.
Okay, good. Okay, and then on 29, you're going to be a will comply that you'll get a, what would you call it from the fire, a positive review from the
Well, we're going to have to revise the
fire
plans, and
marshal?
the revisions will be
And you'll
conditioned.
do any revision for the fire marshal's request to get a passing approval from the fire marshal
Correct.
on the plan. Okay, do you want to go to stormwater management, or?
Sure.
Oh, it's 31 a waiver?
31's a waiver.
Okay,
31
yes. Sorry, I missed that.
is
Thank you.
from 201, 104C3. And that is to permit Totem Road approach to Bristol Pike to follow a straight course for less than 50 feet. And the rationale is that that's the existing road alignment.
And I don't think Mr. Wurst, in his engineer review letter for the traffic, indicated any issue with that.
It's already there.
Okay, all right, so no problem. Okay, and stormwater management,
They're improving the intersection at Totem and
Bristol Pike.
Bristol Pike.
I have a question before we move forward to stormwater management with regards to number 19. I know that you're saying that you're going to comply with the fire department. Will this not cause an issue? Has this been discussed? Because you're specifically being asked from the fire department on your rejection letter, part 2, the plan submitted to the fire department doesn't have access to 3 of the 4 sides of the proposed hotel. Additional 20-foot wide unobstructed fire emergency vehicle accessways are required. You're asking us to reduce a radius proposed on the north corner for access to Totem Road. Is that going to, are you going to comply with that if that's a fire issue?
We've provided truck turning to the fire marshal, and the fire marshal was satisfied with our truck turning.
Yes.
We can get vehicles in and out, including emergency services.
Ladder?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Stormwater waivers.
okay, yeah, stormwater is E. Okay, so, post,
First waiver request is number 15.
From section 19661B1. To
Okay.
permit 15-inch pipe instead of the required 18-inch pipe, and to permit HDP pipe, as we discussed, as you guys discussed earlier, instead of the required RCP. The rationale, as Mr. Warso discussed earlier, HDP pipe is becoming the industry standard. And the 15-inch versus 18-inch, we've provided calculations that show the 15-inch is adequate, and it's located within the property. It's not a public facility, so the owner would need to maintain that pipe.
You agree with that, Bill?
Yeah.
yeah, you have no issues with that, right? Okay.
I have one question, though. Why is 15-inch okay and adequate? I mean, it is 3 inches. I'm sorry, being new, I don't understand. I would really like to understand why a smaller pipe will be deemed adequate, especially given the fact that it is so close to the creek and everything. So I just want to be sure.
Well, probably John can answer that a little bit better than me, but the specifics of that are that there's plenty of capacity associated with those pipes now. So based upon their calculations.
Versus an 18-inch concrete pipe.
Right.
Correct.
So a 15-inch plastic pipe will
Right.
work as well as an 18-inch concrete pipe.
Correct.
I'm not an engineer, but I think there's less drag in a
Right.
plastic pipe than there is in a concrete
Right,
pipe.
that's-
So if you have a smaller plastic pipe, it may have the same flow as a larger concrete pipe due to the friction of concrete versus plastic.
Would that be
Conversely
true
moves
if we
quicker, though.
experienced the storm
Of last summer?
that we had just a year ago, the 500-year storm, which hopefully won't happen for another 500
100,
years.
100 years.
I mean, 3 inches in the diameter is, it's pretty good, it's pretty big.
Yeah, but he's saying that cement slows it down, so a 15-inch would put more water through faster.
Yeah,
than
but
an
once you have a
18-inch.
capacity of filling it up.
But it's better than
large
the 18.
capacity is going to be better than pipe, plastic, or concrete. When you have a smaller flow, I can understand that, smaller amount.
If I understand what you're saying is, like, beyond the design parameters, how's it handled?
He's asking you if a 15-foot pipe is going to cause a problem in a major storm.
No,
as opposed to
we
an
designed these to the 100-year storm event, which is above what PennDOT would design it for, quite frankly. And that is the normal design storm for most township stuff. That's what the storm piping has been designed for, and that's what the calculations show that the 15-inch pipe is adequate for.
Okay.
And that was the same on the last building, actually, I think, too. Okay, so,
Yeah, and their calculations are showing an improvement in the flow, so.
okay, so the next one would be
Number 18.
18, yep.
19661B11, and that's to allow less than 12 inches of freeboard within inlets. The location that this occurs is back on the site. We've supplied calculations that show that the inlets will not surcharge, water will not bubble out of the inlets. And the calculations show that it will function as it should.
Okay, so now, our engineers have no objection, it's written here, so,
You have to allow me my ignorance to, hopefully you can answer my question, but I don't understand what that means, to be honest.
Took me 20 minutes to figure it out.
What's that?
Took me 20 minutes to figure it out.
So,
So, yeah, don't feel bad.
if you can imagine inside of a structure, an inlet or a manhole, as water's flowing through it, there is a water surface in that manhole or inlet, just like it would be a water surface on a pond. And the ordinance requires a minimum of 12 inches between that water surface inside that structure and the ground surface, which in this case, if it's an inlet, it's a grate or a rim of a manhole. The situation that we have is actually, this mostly applies along this property line here. The drainage that is getting around here is kind of being generated in this area here. We're trying to pick it up. And the grade there is fairly low relative to the majority of the other site. So in that area, we have inlets that we are picking up the drainage that's coming through there, alleviating some drainage issues for those properties. But we just don't have that freeboard. We provided calculations that show that we have adequate capacity, but we do not have that 12 inches of freeboard between the water flow through those structures and the ground surface.
And
What
it's
do
a
you
function
have?
of the existing drainage, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a function of the geometry of the site.
So what do you have based on your calculations if you don't have the 12 inches required?
I believe the worst case is about 4 inches.
Okay. Okay, and the engineer doesn't have an issue with it, so I'm assuming that it's correct.
Are your calculations based off of the 100-year flood?
Correct.
And you correct me if I'm wrong, but she's saying that to help the neighbors in the back with the flow, you have to do it that way because of the way the ground goes.
Correct.
Yeah, I know, again, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an attorney. But when you're telling me the difference is 4 inches versus 12 inches, I can calculate that and say it's 8-inch difference.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, I don't know, maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it's yeah, but it's 8 inches between the water level and the top of a manhole cover.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether it's 4 inches away or 12 inches away, as long as it's away. As long as it's not coming out of the top of the manhole cover.
4 inches is a splash away, as opposed to a foot away.
Yeah, we essentially have 4 inches of free
It makes-
water.
Well, if it goes to above 4 inches.
Would you rather
then-
have 4
yeah.
inches of water in your home or 12
Yeah,
inches?
would you rather
of
have-
water?
no,
0
it's not.
inches?
So, hold on, wait. I'm
That's
sorry.
not what they're saying.
Let's
That's
just-
not what he's saying.
So you're supposed to have 12 inches at worst-case scenario. Is that correct? You have 4 inches at
Correct.
worst-case scenario.
Right,
So that's a loss of 8 inches, not a gain. That's a loss.
Right.
right.
There's a gap of 8 inches.
There should be a gap of 12, there's only a gap of 4. This is what we're
Okay, but
talking
if there's a
about.
gap between the water level and the top of a manhole cover, it's still not getting out by 4 inches because of this elevation.
The difference is 4 inches between the water and the top of the manhole, or top of the grate. Now, if you go lower, you don't have enough pitch for the water.
Right.
So if you know, the water will
To go
sit.
where you need it to go.
Right, to need where to go. So they're going with a narrower or a shallower inlet, so to speak, that allows for flow through that. The most they can get is allow that 4 inches. At the worst, it's 4 inches.
12 inches, it would be running the
So
wrong way.
how many are there that you need
So
this
it's
for?
not, it's just a function of the topography with regard to that.
It does have a little dip in that property.
Yes, and that helps people get water off their property. It helps the people.
How many are there, though? How many inlets or
Affected.
manholes are there in that area that are affected by this?
I believe 3. I believe there's 3 inlets that applies to in that area. I could look it up.
Yeah.
But let me just point out that even if the inlets were to surcharge, we have a storm greater than 100 year, the surcharge isn't going to flood into someone's basement directly. In fact, the drainage comes down through here like this already. So if these inlets along here were to surcharge, essentially it would flow along the property line down to the street and continue on. Even if they were to surcharge, the amount of flow in that storm would be significantly less than it is already. Because even if they're surcharging, they're still collecting the vast majority of all the runoff. So, I mean, we are providing 4 inches in the worst design storm.
There's none there now.
Yeah. In regard to the absolute number,
Okay. Okay, the next one?
let me just get the number.
Okay.
It is, it's two inlets along that property line that this would apply to. And then there's one down by Bristol Pike that the same thing applies to. That's completely on our property, and it's actually the outlet from the dry well. And that again is down low by Bristol Pike, so that's completely contained on our property. So it's a total of 3 inlets.
Okay.
Next.
I believe we're on number 19.
19, yep.
196-61B12, and that is to allow less than 24 inches of cover over pipes. This is kind of the same area. It's that low grade. We are providing the manufacturer's recommendation for cover over the pipes. That 12 inches is probably a reference to RCP pipe. The plastic pipe that we're proposing, we're following the manufacturer's recommendations with the 12 inches.
And where are they located at?
Primarily right along there.
It's again the low
The low.
freeboard.
So it's the drainage for the manhole cover, for what's going into the manholes? to go-
Inlets.
Inlets, sorry. Coming down, going into the inlets, into the drain pipes, and the drain pipes will be 12 inches down rather than 24 inches down?
Correct.
Is that basically what he's saying?
Which is one of the reasons that you use the flexible pipe now, so you don't have to dig as deep to catch the water.
And the 12 inches is adequate by the manufacturer.
Now, when you say adequate, is it, I mean, I know we have, we're supposed to go down how far for pipes for like frost and freezing and different things?
That's-
36.
Yeah.
So,
That's-
I mean, how does this affect all that? It's just a question. I'm thinking of the frost line, the freeze line.
Well, you only require 24 inches maximum,
Yeah,
so you wouldn't be below the frost line even if you comply with the ordinance.
But 12
And that's
inches
for
even
water
closer.
lines where water is actually contained as opposed to stormwater where it flows and then dries up, flows and dries up.
Okay,
It's
let
never-
can you
But
end?
if it gets backed up, it's not going to flow anywhere.
But
It's not-
applying it backed up, you mean by freezing?
Well, no, if something gets in the drain system that backs it up, dirt, who knows? It could be anything that could back up a system. I'm saying then the water would accumulate and it would freeze and it would back up the whole system, would it not? No,
I've never
so-
heard of that personally, and additionally, the township has operation and maintenance requirements that the owner needs to agree to.
No,
And that would be an extreme case where years of neglect to the point where the pipe has silted into the point where it's blocking the flow.
Okay, so you have an agreement?
There's
the
23 is
maintenance
an O and M
agreement.
agreement, which will comply with.
Okay,
Of maintaining. Okay,
thank you.
okay. Number 20?
Number 20 is from section 196-61B13, and that is to not require crowns of the pipes to match its structures. This is actually a holdover from hand calculations, where the crowns of pipes at a structure were to line up to make the calculations easy. With modern computer analysis, there's really no rationale for it that I'm aware of.
Okay, and it says we have no objection to that waiver also from our engineers. Okay, and that's it, right?
That is it.
That's it. Okay, is there any other questions from council?
Yeah, I have a question,
Yes, sir.
if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not to belabor the subject, but Mr. Worcester just said a moment ago that his comments were, some were directly addressing the waiver request, and others were kind of letting us decide what we're doing with that. Is that right? Are there any of these requests that you would honestly, that you would say, I'm a little hesitant on, I would conceive the waiver of it, but I could look the other way and think it should not be a waiver also?
No, the only, not for this one, Mr. Kisbeck, the only one that came up was the issue of the sidewalk, and you've handled that.
Okay.
I mean, that we felt, we were trying to get sidewalk, everywhere we can, and they've complied and gone over and above with regard to the stormwater management, as well as we said we're going to try to get for every development that comes along, and they've done that. So some of these are just, it's a tight spot, we're in an area that has, site constraints, so sometimes these waivers, like the shorter grass strip and things like that, they're just the nature of where we live, really.
So I do have one more question, though, before we go further. In terms of the 75 rooms, how are they going to be split out amongst the 3 stories?
If I may.
Because you have a pool in there, you have an eating area in there. So I'm assuming you're putting some on the first floor, second, and third.
I believe so.
In order to, unless you're going to have 37. And how big are the rooms? I know you said they were slightly smaller, but there was, I don't recall the square footage.
I have Mr. Patel here. He's the president of Sri Geatri. If it's okay, I'll have him answer those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, come forward.
It's going to be a mixture of just kings and doubles. There's no suites or anything. It's 30, 30. The third floor and second floor are 30 and 30, and the rest of the remaining are on the first floor.
So 15 on the first floor?
Yes.
Okay.
So some are big, the queens are bigger than the other ones, is that what you're saying?
Same size, everything.
Everything's the same size. What's the approximate size of a room?
225 square foot?
25 square foot.
220.
225 square foot. I was going to say that'd be pretty small.
And then,
They're tiny rooms.
I know I can look through the plan. I did look through the plan. I don't recall. What are you putting up as the landscaping around the residential properties in order for them not to have the lighting and any lighting issues there? And is there any privacy fences going up to give them adequate security and protection for many of your guests that may decide to go visiting?
We had not proposed fencing currently. In terms of landscaping, we are providing a buffer along here. And we're providing a fair amount of landscaping on the corner property. And we're providing some landscaping all along Bristol. Are you interested in the species and stuff like that, or?
Will it be something tall? I'm worried about the lighting on going into the I believe it's 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4 houses on Neshaminy Street. There's 4 houses there. And then I'm also concerned about the safety of the neighborhood and I do appreciate the fact that we're getting rid of a lot of the issues on the backside.
Yeah.
So I'm not discounting that. I'm just asking, since you're doing these improvements, especially specifically for the 3 houses that buffer up to it, in terms of making it safer, So somebody's not just walking through to their property, through a tree and having any issues there. You know, in today's world, unfortunately, you have to ask those questions.
So do you want to provide fencing? Is that
I
what
would
you're
like
saying?
fencing
Okay.
to be provided
Can you
along-
provide fencing along the back, along
We're
Chamois
going to
Street?
do it anyways, or I mean, in the future.
You're going to do it anyway?
In
Okay.
the future, we were looking at it.
Okay, so. we're-
Yeah, because it would
makes more
just,
sense.
Okay,
it
so-
does, and the safety of those people. And I do, again, I know what you guys deal with now, and I appreciate the fact, and I appreciate that.
Okay, so we'll do a 6-foot privacy fence across the
We can
back?
do that.
Not on the right, though. There's nothing there, just woods.
Right, right. Across the
right.
back, between the.
Where all the neighbors are, we would fence
Where the
it.
neighbors
Right
are.
on Totem, the neighbors that you
Right
get
there,
to
right
off of
there.
Totem.
Yeah.
Right
There,
there.
and then along that, yes, that section right there, not on the Chamonix Street.
No.
In the Chamonix Street, you're going to have a buffer of trees, I think would be, so.
In regard to lighting, we are providing lighting in the parking lot. We provided calculations to the township that shows that the lighting levels are an acceptable level at the property lines.
And you'll make sure that if they ever go out, you get them quickly, because the one at Chick-fil-A in the Chamonix up in Horizon Boulevard's been blinking for months. It's like
Well,
a strobe
the
light.
ones that we're proposing are LEDs, so, you know.
They don't strobe.
Supposedly, they don't do that.
Yeah, they have 20, 30
Okay.
years, they're supposed to last.
Okay, so, and they won't be facing anywhere into the neighbors on the Chamonix Street. They should be going straight down.
Correct.
To affect those houses.
You're going to add the fence to the plans?
We'll add that fence to the plans.
Okay,
So that would be a additional thing.
that's an additional thing for the fence,
We're just
okay?
saying it.
Is there any other questions? If not, is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this? Well,
Before we go any further, yeah, I have a question. I want to make, I'm sorry, John.
that's what I'm asking, yeah, you have a
Yeah,
question?
okay, yeah, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
And I think you may have answered it earlier, but I want to make sure that you have an underground basin, and where is that?
The underground basin is kind of an L shape roughly, and it goes along here.
Okay.
And it discharges down into an existing storm pipe, that then discharges down to Neshaminy Creek. As part of the development, that piece of pipe that goes down along there is inadequate. Not only are we reducing flows to that pipe, but it's so inadequate that we're actually additionally increasing the size of it from a 24 to a 30 inch.
That's a good location for it. Okay, that's good. I wasn't sure if it was up there.
Yeah, and that takes it all the way down, and literally discharges
Exactly.
into the Neshaminy.
That's good. That was it, Jeff.
Okay? All right, is there, Phil, do you have something to say, or are you okay?
No, the pipe issue and everything else also, they have to get a PennDOT permit, so.
For that
Right.
all issue too, good. Okay, so is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this project from the public? Okay, seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Okay, does someone want to make a motion in reference to,
Sri Giatri.
C. Chiatri Corporation, 4,000 Bristol Pike, the new hotel, tax parcel 27670 and 276-741?
I'll make the motion, Mr. President, although I got lost a little bit through there, so Mr. Pazzo, you can pay attention to me. Help me out on this one. This is for Sri Gotri Corporation, 4,000 Bristol Pike, and the tax map parcel is going to be 02076-070/02076-074-001. My first part of the motion would be to make sure that these properties are going to be consolidated into one and recorded up in Doylestown, and that presented to our solicitor. Is that correct, Mr. Joseph?
Yes, deed of consolidation will be presented to the township
Okay.
for review and approval by the township solicitor and the township engineer, will be recorded contemporaneously with the record plan.
Okay, and I'm going to refer to the waiver request based on the Dumac Engineering, which is normally that we don't do, but it's, since you have it consolidated right here for us. And this is I'm looking for a date on this. Of course, the date would be today, the 18th of October, even though there's not a date on this engineering. There is?
There is no date on that.
There is no date on it, okay, but we're referring it to October the 18th. I guess we refer to this as exhibit number 1?
Yes, we can refer to it as applicant 1, and it is the It's identified as additional pages which identify waivers from the township's land development and subdivision ordinance, and it is the one that was handed up to the township at the time of hearing this evening by council.
Okay, that being said, since we've gone all through these waivers individually, and it's been recorded on our television and such, I don't think we need to repeat them, but all the waivers that were in this letter that we just referred to, I would ask that the council grant those waivers for the applicant. I would ask also that there would be a fence, as we discussed this evening, put in on,
Can we describe it as the northern?
yeah, I'm trying to think how it would be on the Neshaminy side of the construction, as well as the,
Houses off of Totem Road.
as well as the houses off of Totem Road, then, that there would be a security fence.
Privacy fence.
Across the
Privacy
back and the
fence.
side, there's privacy,
And
6-foot
that
privacy
would,
fence.
and that would be in the, what's that material, PVC, I guess it would be? A PVC
Yeah.
type of a fence, as opposed to a stockade type fence, or
PVC or vinyl, something along those lines.
something on that, okay?
So would it be fair to identify that as a northern property line from Totem Road extending west to
Neshaminy.
where the property line then makes the turn north,
L-shaped like.
the L shape? That's the area we're talking about, from Totem all the way to the L.
Correct.
So it would be fronting along the appears to be three residential properties that are adjacent to this property.
1, 2, 3, and then there's the other.
Correct. On the side.
Okay. And then do you want it to go up the side as well?
Yes.
And then, so it would extend west from Totem to
Neshaminy.
to where the L
Neshaminy.
is, and then it would go north up the side of that one property there.
Right, okay.
If I may, can I read out the tax map parcels?
That would be fine.
Okay,
There would be tax map parcel 276-70-001, tax map parcel 276-71, and 276-73. We propose the fence along the shared border for those three.
Okay, shared
That's
board,
fine.
that's correct, right, that's easy. Okay, then also add the sidewalks and curbs.
yeah, I didn't get there yet.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay,
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, and then, as discussed earlier, we have the sidewalks and curbs are going to be added on the Gray Avenue side of the construction, and the additional footage would be in payment in lieu of, and that would be again on the Neshaminy, I guess, there's a paper road there too, Neshaminy.
Paper road goes through here.
Okay,
down
so,
to
but it's up, Neshaminy
This
would
is
be,
a picture.
would be the
That would be the.
natural state.
In lieu of curbs and stuff.
And payment in lieu of, exactly. Okay. That's about what I remember. Anything else, Joseph?
Just contingent upon the compliance of the fire
Fire
department and upon their
Fire marshal,
approval.
correct. That's correct, because you're going to change that according to your agreement with the fire marshal.
That's
going
correct.
to be part of the agreement on the record plan.
Correct.
So the curbs and sidewalks will extend on Gray from Neshaminy the entire length of
Bristol
Gray.
Pike.
Yep.
Correct.
Sidewalk will be installed. All of the other curb and sidewalk that would be otherwise required has been waived, and payment of a fee in lieu of will be made to the township.
Correct.
So it'll be curbed and sidewalk done over the entire site except for Neshaminy Street,
Yes.
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 right?
Yep, they're paying in lieu of for the Chamois Street.
Okay.
Okay,
Is there anything
anything-
else, gentlemen?
No, I think you're good. Mr. Pizzo, as far as you know, Mr. Kisselback's motion is good?
That's correct, and there is an acknowledgement that the property has already been rezoned by court order from AD to entirely GC. And
Okay.
that the consolidation has already been referred to. That'll be done as part of the filing of the record plan.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept for 4,000 Bristol Pike, according to Mr. Kisselback's motion. Is there a second? Second. Ms. Benitez, all in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay,
No.
good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, and
Yeah,
hopefully
even
it'll be a
though it
nice
seemed
thing
like
there,
we're
and clean up
difficult-
that area. Be a good neighbor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Could you? Just don't think it. Very good. Okay, next on the agenda is consideration of a preliminary and final subdivision for Gibson Holdings LLC, 1515 Gibson Road. They're proposing 6 residential lots in the R2 residential district, tax parcel 2545.
Good evening. Yeah, Alan Toadvine for Gibson Holdings. Yes, this is a site zoned R2. It's approximately 3.23 acres in size. We're proposing a 6-lot subdivision. Right now, there's an existing home and an accessory structure on the parcel, which is proposed to be demolished. This started as apparently an 8-lot subdivision. There were discussions, and that 8-lot subdivision was modified to a 7-lot subdivision. Additional feedback was obtained, and ultimately, the site was reduced to a 6-lot subdivision. This property would take access from Gibson, as you can see, proposed a cul-de-sac. Proposed cul-de-sac, the basin are all common areas that would be maintained by the homeowners association to be formed. All the proposed dwellings would access the cul-de-sac. As you can see, Lot 2 has a driveway across Lot 1 by easement, which will also access the cul-de-sac. So none of the lots will individually access Gibson. Basically, the township engineer's review letter from TPD is clean. We don't have any revisions required to the plan. Everything is a will comply. That letter, by the way, is dated September 6th of 2022. We are requesting waivers.
I don't have that letter, Joe. Do we not have that letter?
This one here?
Oh, where is it? Oh, there, I got it. I got it, okay. It's way in the back, okay.
That should be on.
I know. Okay, I'm sorry. We have a lot of engineering letters in front. It's
I
hard to
understand.
locate it.
I understand. As I said, the review letters are clean. They're all will complies with the exception of the waivers that we're requesting, which are, I believe, 5 in addition to preliminary and final approval this evening. I'd be more than happy to call Kristen Holmes, our engineer, to explain the aspects of the property and the proposed subdivision, unless there's questions you want to review before that.
Yeah, we could, it's up to council members. Do you have any immediate questions, or do you want to wait for the?
Rather than go through the letter.
Yeah, go ahead, go through.
Okay, thank you.
Let her go.
Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, you're an engineer, is that what you're?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Kristen Holmes with Holmes Cunningham Engineering, the
Okay.
civil engineer for the project.
Okay.
So sure, if we follow along in the TPD letter dated September 6th, under the subdivision and land development comments.
Right.
The first item is a waiver request. And I know you typically follow along with that. We do also separately have a waiver request letter within the packet that's dated July 15th that follows in order of this letter as well.
All right, so when you're saying subdivision section 1, is that in reference to open space?
It is, so it's from section 103, and it's requesting a waiver from providing the required park or rec facilities accessible to the development.
So you'll pay $2,000 a lot?
Yes.
If you're approved?
Correct, yes.
In lieu of?
And we
Okay.
do have open space provided along the back portion of the property as well, the rear wooded and area where we have the creek along the back.
Okay, so you'll pay in lieu of number 2?
Yes. Number 2 is a will comply. Number 3 is a waiver request, and that is from section 201-110 in regards to street widening along Gibson Road. The Gibson Road is a state road, so it is a PennDOT road, and we are working through PennDOT permitting with them, as well as with the traffic engineer. The roadway width along this portion is consistent with surrounding areas. We are proposing a 2-foot widening along the frontage in accordance with PennDOT requests for the frontage along Gibson, and are providing curb and sidewalk along the frontage of Gibson Road.
Okay, so there's sidewalk right along Gibson Road and going all through the cul-de-sac?
Yes, there is.
Okay, and is that number 4 too, or is that the 4-foot width?
Nope, number 4 is a will comply. We have a 4-foot park planting width. The only areas where we don't is where we have ADA turning areas, but it was determined a waiver's not required for that, so that is a will comply.
Okay.
Number 5 is a will comply. Number 6 is a will comply. And then under stormwater management comments, number 1 is a will comply. 2A is a will comply. 2B is a waiver request, and that is from section 196-61B1. We are requesting a waiver from providing the concrete pipe and proposing the HDPE plastic pipe. It's similar, I think you've heard it with the previous application.
Is it the 15-inch pipe?
No, we are compliant in regards to size and slope, just requesting the material change.
Okay.
2C is a waiver request, and that is from section 196-61E2 to allow the use of the DeKalb rational method. And just given the small size of the drainage area, it is a typical method that is used for a small-scale drainage area.
Okay.
2D is a waiver request, and this is from section 196-61E12. We're requesting a waiver from providing less than 100 feet between the highest water surface of the basin to a dwelling unit. And in this case, on the rendering, you can see the basin is located to the rear, essentially, of all of the lots, which is the downslope portion of the property. So it is closer than 100 feet to lots 5 and 6. It is still, we're maintaining all of the requirements for the basin itself, as far as the space, the volume, the freeboard requirements. We're just requesting a waiver to allow that basin to be closer than required.
And is the homeowners association responsible for the basin?
It will be, yes. So it'll be maintained by the homeowners association. There will be an operation and maintenance agreement by the township, and there is a fence surrounding that basin.
What other responsibilities does the homeowners association have?
The road
ownership, road?
Roadway and sidewalks.
And open space, yes.
Okay, so the road's going to be a private road?
Yes.
Okay, what about the sewer under the road?
That, with it being a private road, it would be subject to an easement for the sewer line itself.
Okay, but is there any grinder pumps or sewer pumps or stuff like that?
This is gravity-fed sewer
Okay.
along here. So we were able to make it so it is all gravity-fed from each of the
Okay,
units.
all right, that's good.
Will the homeowners association also be responsible for the wooded area in the back to keep it clean? Because I noticed in one of your comments, or one of the letters from your woodlands person, that there's a lot of invasive species, and I believe it's probably because that property has been empty since 2006, I believe.
Yes, the homeowners association will be maintaining the woodlands area and the open space in the back.
And they won't be able to cut any of it down per our...
Correct. There is a conservation easement proposed as part of this in the back as well in that open space area. So, correct, other than for safety reasons, for any trees falling, hazards, things of that nature.
So,
Okay.
I have one question now. How do we ensure that they're keeping the woodlands safe from a homeowner's perspective, since it's part of the homeowners from a township perspective?
Safe in what regard?
That they're keeping it cleaned and up to date, that they're not letting it deteriorate to the point where it has to be taken down, given the fact that we have the creek that goes through there.
The stormwater facilities are subject to a maintenance and monitoring agreement with the township. So that grants the township the right, township has the right in most regards anyway, under the various federal and state laws that govern stormwater and wetlands, to go in and do those inspections. As far as the township going in and periodically inspecting, we could certainly make that a requirement, and we could write that into the stormwater agreement, that in addition to the township having a right to do stormwater inspections, the township will inspect the open space as well. Again, I'm not sure the nature of the open space. It's existing woods, right?
It's existing woods, but according to their letter, a lot of it's become invasive and not as much as woodlands as it may have once been, because I believe since it's had only one house on there for the duration until now potentially, it's pretty much, I think, believe, been woodlands all down there, maintained by the private
I guess the
homeowner.
question is, what does the township
degree of
otherwise,
maintenance do you
what
want?
does the township otherwise want it to be?
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure that eventually, that if it's not taken care of, they don't have to be all cut down, because the homeowners association is not taking care of the woodlands. That's my concern.
Well, we can certainly write into the maintenance and monitoring agreement that the area must remain wooded, and that will, you know.
And I think
assure
from a
that-
homeowner standpoint, from the homeowners, they're going to want to maintain that wooded area. Obviously, it adds to the value of their properties.
We can come up with the necessary wording to make sure that the open space remains wooded, if that's
Yes.
ultimately what we're trying to say.
Right.
Yes, that is ultimately what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Okay. Continuing through this letter, 2E is a will comply, 3 and 4 are will comply. And then if we look at the traffic engineer's letter, also from TPD, everything within that letter is a will comply.
That's also dated September 6, 2022.
And then we received no comments from the police department, and the only comment from the fire department is to request addresses for the lots, so we will certainly do that.
Okay. Is there any questions in reference to the development itself, or any questions or concerns that anybody wants to address with the
Yeah, I have a question.
engineer?
The one lot, I guess it's number 1, I can't see it from here.
Which
but
one, Mr. Levy?
The bottom lot, there's two piggyback lots next, on top of each other. The bottom lot 2. The bottom lot 2, why is that not defined as a flag lot?
It has frontage along Gibson Road, so it meets the requirements of a standard lot due to the frontage, but the access is being taken from the cul-de-sac. So the driveway has an easement over Lot 1 to take access to the cul-de-sac, but it has the required street frontage along Gibson Road.
So the person on Lot 1 now loses that side to use because of the driveway?
The driveway
So
will-
in essence, they're paying taxes for somebody's driveway?
Yes, it is subject to an easement along that portion.
Also going to be their driveway, too, correct?
There is a
It's
separate
shared-
driveway
There's
shown.
a separate driveway for Lot 1?
Yes.
And Lot 2 goes across Lot 1, and it's a paved driveway,
Yes.
which would be part of the impervious surface for Lot 1?
It would be yes, because the easements don't come out of lot area. So yes, it is part of the impervious surface, and it is compliant with impervious coverage. And
But if
part of
Lot
the-
1 wants to do anything, now they have to consider this paved driveway on the side of their house?
They would, and part of the reason for the location of that driveway is keeping the direct access off of Gibson Road, and the location for that cul-de-sac, if you may recall the earlier iterations, we had the road more centered on the property. So this cul-de-sac has been relocated towards what I'll call it's the western property line, but top on the view of the plan in order to maximize sight distance along Gibson Road, entering and exiting the cul-de-sac. So this was a big reason for the change on this plan that's before you, is to optimize that sight distance, and that same goes for that lot too, making sure it doesn't have its own access to Gibson Road, and understanding collecting all of that access through the cul-de-sac first before exiting.
And anybody buying Lot 1 would obviously be fully aware of the existence of this easement across their property and the ability not to use that particular
And how much
area.
frontage does Lot 1 have besides the frontage that's being taken up by their easement?
Frontage for
Like,
Lot 1?
Yeah, Lot 1 has frontage across the front, right?
Right, it has frontage on both Gibson and the cul-de-sac.
Okay, on the cul-de-sac, how much frontage does it have that's not an easement? Does it have 75 feet plus the easement?
Yes, it's a wider width along that portion of the cul-de-sac. It has the 75 feet along Gibson. So Lot 1 has 57 feet between the points of curvature of the radii of the right-of-way along Gibson. So it has approximately 80 feet to the curvature of the right-of-way.
So it's 80 feet before the easement starts. So then the easement's another, what, 20 feet?
20 feet, yes.
So
Okay,
it's
so
60 feet
No, it's 100 feet.
100 feet total.
It's 100 feet.
from Gibson Road to Lot 3.
Yes.
And 20 feet of it's an easement.
Easement.
To let
Right.
So yes, it still, practically speaking, meets the minimum lot area exclusive of that easement for its own property.
Now, just to clarify too, that's an asphalt driveway that they have an easement to drive on, okay? Who's responsible for maintenance of the driveway? The person who owns the easement or the person who owns the property?
And that would be identified in the easement language, but I would imagine it would be the
I don't
lot two.
Typically, it would
lot
be,
two owner.
Lot 2 owner would be responsible for maintaining the driveway from the cul-de-sac to their property.
Right, so it had potholes and stuff or
Yeah,
whatever.
they'd have to
They'd have to redo it, not the person on lot 1.
No, no,
Okay.
it would not be their responsibility.
So why isn't Lot 2, the tax parcel, just taking up that easement? They're the responsible owner and maintenancer.
You mean
Why-
making
why
it
are
a
we doing
flag lot?
And then it would be a flag lot.
Well, it's not, they're saying it's not a flag lot. I'm not, they're saying it's not a flag lot because technically they
they're
have
thrown in
frontage
the
on
easement.
Gibson Road.
Right.
But you can't get out that,
You can't get out that way.
so it's really not.
In
an access
essence,
road.
in essence, it's a flag lot,
It's a
but,
flag lot.
but,
So it is a flag lot, you can't,
well, it is, it's a flag. I mean, it looks like a flag to me.
it is a flag lot. It doesn't come out onto Gibson Road just because you have frontage on Gibson Road. If you can't come out on Gibson Road, you have to go behind the other people's house. It's a flag lot. We don't allow flag lots in Bensalem.
Yeah.
That's considered a front yard under your ordinance on Gibson Road, so.
Right, so it meets by definition, it does meet the standard lot requirement by having that frontage.
I don't think we're required to give you an easement across somebody else's property, though. It's part of a subdivision.
Yeah, and so the council understands the easement would be incorporated into the subdivision documents as opposed to, we're just proposing that easement the same way we'd propose a drainage easement and an easement for, underground utilities across someone's property. Levittown has Lower Bucks County Joint Municipal Authority easements across the back of every property, but that's just part of the easement process, not part of the subdivision process.
Mr. Pizzo, what is your feeling on this?
It really comes down to council's preference. as you've stated, Mr. Polari, and I think everybody stated, flag lots are certainly not desirable. I think the question was asked, but I'll make sure I understood. Right now, what you're proposing as an easement across Lot 1, if that were actually to be part of Lot 2 to make a true flag lot, is Lot 1 still otherwise compliant?
I believe so, let me confirm.
It is on frontage apparently, according to her calculations, but I don't know.
It is on lot width, yes.
But I don't know about overall square footage.
7,500 is required. We have for lot 1,
And while the engineer is determining that, council could say that you do not want an easement as part of the land development plan.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The net effect of that would be to essentially force a driveway onto Gibson Road, I believe, Mr. Worsta, that again, the property, Lot 2, as I understand it, has sufficient area and sufficient frontage on Gibson Road so as to make it a conforming lot with or without the adjacent easement.
Right. Well, we'd have to access on Gibson Road.
So, that if you were to approve a plan of subdivision that created that lot, PennDOT, I believe, would be in a position to have to approve a highway occupancy permit for that lot somewhere.
I agree with that, Mr. Pizzo. I think that PennDOT, though, would recommend that the access be jointed with the rest of the development from a traffic and safety perspective, and would, if in a vacuum, they would clearly provide an access at that location for a driveway with just that lot number 2. But their first insistence, and according to their codes, would be try to get it as part of the main driveway.
So going back to Ms. Holmes, if Lot 1 were reduced in size by approximately 200 square feet, if I'm doing my math quickly and correctly, would that still be
2,000, Mr. President.
2,000? Well, see, I wasn't doing it correctly. 2,000 square feet, would that still be an otherwise conforming lot in all respects?
it would be just under at 7,339 square feet.
And once we approve something like this, we're opening up a can of worms for all over the rest of the township once you approve something like this. There's been many of people that have come in to try to do this, and we didn't allow it. Now, if we allow it on this site, any other open spot, it's going to become a nightmare.
This is not a flag lot.
It is a flag lot.
I'm sorry.
You have to drive across the other people's property to get out. It's a flag lot.
If I may,
They don't own the property, it's a flag lot. In order to not be a flag lot, they'd have to enter an entrance, enter off of, and exit off of Gibson Road. That wouldn't be a flag lot. The way you're doing it now is you have to go down the street, you got to go through one person's to get to that. It's a flag lot.
Well, it's similar in regards to the basin access. There's an access easement through Lot 5 for access that would be crossing into the basin, which is very typical in subdivisions to be able to access other areas for maintenance.
But that basin easement isn't accessed on a daily basis back and forth, in a sense, whereas this is daily traffic going back and forth. In essence, you really are giving this piece of property from Lot 1 to Lot 2 with no rights to that portion whatsoever and paying the taxes on that.
But so we're clear, the definition of a flag lot is a lot that does not have the required frontage. The pole of the flag accesses the lot, but that pole does not have the required road frontage. This lot does have the required road frontage.
That's correct, Mr. Tovine, but I believe what council's saying is effectively this plan that's in front of them, Lot 2 is a flag lot. You're not proposing access to Gibson Road, you're proposing access across the adjacent property, in this case by way of an easement, but it may not fit the legal definition of a flag lot, but effectively, we're creating one. You can agree with that.
Well, I'll agree that it looks, talks, and walks like a flag lot, but by definition of your ordinance, it's not a
Well,
flag.
here's my question too, is if the question was, I think basically, and I think we can decide whether we want this or not, whether you think it fits the zoning, but if you have frontage, you're saying you have frontage, okay, and if you, and our engineer's saying that if you wanted a driveway on Gibson, that PennDOT would give you a driveway, okay, so to avoid what's considered a safety issue, just pulling out on Gibson Road another driveway, you think it's better to allow an easement across Lot 1. Now, when Lot 1 buys that house, they're gonna understand that there's an easement on it.
Absolutely.
They're gonna have to have a driveway too, so if they know that going in, I mean, I think, I'm not overly concerned about them at that point, because they know there's a driveway. They don't
Right.
want the driveway there, they don't buy that lot. But the concern is, Joe, Mr. Pyle, would this open us up to other flag lots because there's a frontage, or only in situations where there's a frontage that can't be accessed because of a highway?
Obviously, every situation that exists anywhere in the township rests on the set of facts that exist for that particular situation. That being said, the preference would certainly be, I believe, from what I'm hearing.
Right, 5 lots.
The preference would be to have 5 lots. That's
Okay.
the preference.
That's wasn't what I was going to say, but
Okay.
you're the 5 with the votes, so that's what matters.
I think PennDOT would say the same thing too. And if indeed they were going to give access to that property as it sits now, that would be contingent upon us approving it. If we didn't approve it, they wouldn't have to address that. But if we approved it by saying the access has to be on Gibson Road, then the onus goes on PennDOT to provide that.
Right.
That'd be my opinion.
But if we don't
how I would
approve
say
it, right.
And if the one lot owns the ground and they're paying the taxes on it, what's stopping them from saying, you're no longer going to go across my lot? That would be another legal issue. I mean,
Well, and that's where I was going, Mr. Polari. I think the preference would be if a plan were to be approved with that driveway going over Lot 1, would be that it wouldn't go over Lot 1. It would be, it would be owned by the owner of Lot 2, so you don't have issues between.
So the question is,
between neighbors.
my question to you is, okay, if it was under consideration, okay, so if you put one house on Lot 1.
Right.
Which PennDOT would prefer that less cars go out the main road, okay? So then you had 5 lots, okay? From a builder's perspective, because I'm real estate, so you could put you would have a premium lot that you could actually put a bigger house, okay? And maybe make up some of the money that you're losing on a lot to a premium lot on Lot 1, because someone's getting a much larger lot. You could center a house that's a larger square footage house and someone's willing to pay more money for it. Would you consider?
Can I talk to my client?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's across the street from the jail.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Good to go. You okay?
No score, thanks. Are they?
What's the score? 0. No score. No score. 3. Oh, no score. There's score set? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Want to get back and watch the rest of the Sixers. Yeah, the coffee machine was taken apart.
Well, you haven't been. Is that what you want to do? That'd be my suggestion. Excuse me. So, if it's acceptable to council, we would request that the matter be tabled this evening, and we can explore some modifications.
That's fine, you know, yeah, because I think if you, I can't read other people's minds, but I would think that if you ask it for a vote the way it is now, it's not gonna work.
Right.
So, okay, so, you want to table this to a dates of when, is that okay, Joe? Sure. Okay, what date, November 14th, or?
Is second, how about your second meeting, was it the
Second meeting
28th?
is the 28th, correct? Okay?
Extensions of time under the MPC.
Yeah, I
for
think you already have
consideration
one
of
through the
plan.
end of November, but we
Let's-
are.
Let's do it to the end of the
Yes.
year, if that's
Okay, that's
fine,
fine,
just in
sure.
case we run into a problem on November scheduling.
Yes.
Are we tabling agenda
So-
item 10 as well?
For a moment, everybody, so that we're not all speaking over one another. So I have an extension of time under the municipality's planning code for consideration of the plan out to the end of December of 2023.
You do.
You'll confirm that in writing for me?
We
tomorrow?
will.
Thank you.
And then, of course, we're going to extend the sewer facilities thing, because you don't need that yet, so we're 9 and 10. Okay? Okay, is there a motion to extend item?
In the hearing to a date certain of
November
the council
28th.
meeting of November 28th. Is that
Okay.
correct, Debbie? November 28th?
Is there a motion to continue the hearing
Put that forward.
for agenda 9 and 10 to a date certain of November 28th? Mr. Kisselback has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the record, Harper just did a home run, it's 1-0.
Oh, it's 1-0. Yeah, there you go. See, that was a smart decision there.
On the
Harper.
board.
Oh, so we have public comment in a second, sir, of you.
Thank you.
We'll take it anyway.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay,
your
you want to
time.
come up, sir? You have public comment? You can comment on this one or any, you might as well, if it's in reference to this, they might want to stay and listen a little bit.
All right,
You got to identify yourself, sir, and then
My
you're
name is
welcome.
Kevin Garrow. I own a property, 1545, right next to the tree line there where the pole barn and the house is.
Okay, and you have the trail, the RV?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So anyway, last time I was here, there was different people on the committee, you know?
Council, right.
Council, I'm sorry. And
We
the
had
one
an
guy,
election, that's what happened. We had an election.
I understand, yeah.
Okay.
I know, yeah. So anyway, the one guy had said, well, I own 2 acres, and that's the way I like it, And, and when I came up, I said, I'm with him. Because he said, I got deer, and I got foxes, and, there's a lot, like, I moved from the city out to there.
Right.
And I really enjoy it. You don't have fences and all this. And then the first time, it was 8 houses. It was even more before that, before this even kind of started. And then they were talking about building walls and grading and all this, and there's a stream in the back and all. Like, what is it going to be the next time? And hey, I give you guys credit, man. You can pick some stuff apart. Last time was, what are they going to do with snow removal? What are they going to do with the holidays? You know what I mean? And there was another woman here, she said, denied. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like.
Yeah, that's zoning, actually.
You're talking about zoning.
Yes.
That's zoning, okay.
Yes, so,
Okay, well, they're going to come, we had tried to, as you heard.
Yes.
We tried to say, we think it would be a better situation. We haven't voted on it, but we think it's a better situation if it had 5 lots, okay?
Right.
So at some point, it's going to be developed, so we're trying to make it the
Sure.
best that we can for everybody.
Right.
So then, I would suggest that, we're going to have a hearing the 28th. You can check and make sure that they're still on the agenda. And we'll have to see, we don't know what they're going to come back and propose to us again, but, we'll be here on the 28th of November, and we'll.
okay, because I've showed up here, and the date that was on the paper, I showed up, and they showed up, and they said, there's no thing tonight. You know what I mean?
Was that for zoning or for council?
It was for zoning, correct? Yes.
So that happens sometimes, so I
And then I just
apologize for
gotta,
that. Yeah, you can call the township and make sure that day what's on the agenda for that night.
Because they said nothing even happened.
Well, you still had like 2 were
Yeah.
pulled. Yeah,
You
unfortunately.
can also get it online at the Bensalem Township website.
And I know everybody's busy, and I'm sure you guys are very busy, but to come and show up and, I don't know what you talk about. We do this on Wednesday nights, or whatever. But anyway, thanks you for,
To elaborate on what Joe had just said. We believe that the construction of 5 lots will be better for the developer. We believe it will be better for the people who purchase the properties as
Correct.
well as the township. So we believe it will be a win-win situation for everyone as opposed to what's being, presented to us tonight. So not just for us. We think the developer would do better for that too. We
Okay.
really do.
thank you for your time.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, you okay? Thanks for coming out. Oh, you want to come up? Okay, all right.
I'm Mark Harlick, 1465 Gibson Road. I'm on the opposite side, the eastern end of the proposed development.
Okay.
And I think it was at one of the zoning meetings that they said, don't come back until you have 5 properties. So, the 6 is on here, and like you said, that would create a can of worms, flag lots, if they're not allowed in Bensalem Township. And it's going to, somebody else is paying taxes on a property and stuff. What I don't understand is, what is that green area there? It looks like a bunch of trees. Is that a basin?
That's a basin, yeah.
Okay, it's a drainage basin. And that property slopes back. I'm concerned with water coming on my property, getting flooded out. And they said at the last meeting they're going to put a swale there, but I don't see anything in the plan there for a swale to catch the water.
Well, no water will come on his property from the basin, correct? So, yeah, that's
They're
correct.
not allowed to
They're
run
not allowed to
water.
do that. We're going to have it, so that basin will be able to contain, it'll be better situation than you have now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because we'll have the numbers on what the improvements are on water. And when they control the water, it goes in that basin has to work. And it'll keep,
Post-construction runoff would be less than pre-construction.
yeah, yes.
Okay. And all them trees in the back, from what I heard, I couldn't hear too good back there, but they're gonna remain the same, untouched?
Remain
and
in
it's-
wooded area, and then we're gonna put in something that we can inspect and to make sure they continue to be wooded area.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of wildlife back, a lot of deer and foxes and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
I live on the other side of the turnpike, and I see them, it's narrower, but they still come
Yeah.
along there.
All right, that's about all I got to say.
Okay, thanks for coming out.
thank you.
November 28th should be the next hearing, okay? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we can ask quick.
Before we move on, Quentin, can you come up and give us
An update so we
on
can.
what was supposed to happen on the 13 property that was supposed to start yesterday?
No, it was Monday.
Or Monday? Yeah,
Supposed to be
it's
yesterday.
Monday,
Supposed to be
right? Yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So regarding the Popley dirt pile, so our contractor has some issues. He thought he was going to be able to have our machines here to start doing the work this week, which didn't happen due to permitting for the heavy equipment coming in. I did talk to him today. They are coming in tomorrow morning. So we're going to be mobilizing, doing our E&S installs, and dirt will be moving to the northern side at the United Store Hall that Mr. Popley owns. Spread that out at 1 foot, 1.5 foot. Get rid of most of the dirt there. Any remaining dirt will be hauled up to KPK. So
I'm sorry,
all
where
that
is
should
it
be
going?
done within a week.
Where is it going?
Next door to the property. So if you're looking at the northern side, there's a big open area that Mr. Popley owns. So we suggested that he raise that a foot since that's a large area. So,
Okay, and then the rest of it's going
and then
somewhere else?
anything left over from that will go to KPK.
And this work starts tomorrow?
The mobilization starts tomorrow with the ENS. The hauling will be starting on Thursday morning.
And
So-
what do
And
you
he
think, hold on a second. What do you think the completion date for the work?
He says about a week to get everything 100% done.
Okay, so within 10 days or?
I would assume, weather permitting, but it looks like we're going to have nice weather next week.
So, other question, when he raises it a foot, what does it do to Mr. Connolly's property?
It's on the other side of Mr. Connolly's property. He's on the southern side, we'll say. We're moving it to the northern side.
So it's going to be in front of where the storage area is.
Correct.
Andalusia Drive-In?
The old Anderson Drive, yeah.
So it won't be anywhere near Mr. Connolly's property? And it
No, it's
won't affect
further
any
away.
sort of runoff onto Mr. Connolly's property whatsoever?
Pardon me?
No runoff? It won't cause any runoff?
No, so basically what we're doing with 634, which is adjacent to Mr. Connolly, they're going to have a berm along the property line, so all the water is going to be directed toward the rear, toward the Perquesson Creek. So,
In the backside?
toward the back, correct. So nothing will be going toward the south, it will be going toward the west, we'll say.
Okay, you're going to inspect this to make sure it's done right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we will bill Mr. Popley?
Pardon me?
And then we will bill Mr. Popley for all of
Yeah,
this?
there's already money in escrow that will be deducted for that, and any other remaining funds, I'm assuming it will be liened on the property until it's paid off.
Okay.
If there's any balance.
All right, thank you. Can you stay here a minute in case there's
Pardon me?
other?
Any monies that are over and above what we have, Mr. Popley's, he's going to pay the balance of, right?
Right, that's when, if he doesn't pay, it will be liened.
Okay. Why don't you hold on a minute and we'll see if, Joe, you want
How's
to come for
everybody
public
doing?
comment? Good.
I got a major problem here. You're gonna move this pile of dirt. I'm already getting water coming through my property that I'm gonna have to put a bridge where it's washing out all my dirt. Already. You talk about stormwater management, not let run water on people's property. They put a pile of dirt like, 80 feet high. They blacktopped in front of his building without going to stormwater management or land development. They blacktopped 25 inches. All his water runs through my property. Then they're gonna move this dirt. Number one, is there gonna be an engineering drawing? I got a deed here from Gilmore. I want to give it to Mr. Pizzo. This here is done by Gilmore. This is a fraudulent deed. When he subdivided the Andalusia Drive-In property.
Well, again, that's not our.
Listen, I need to talk. I need to talk.
You can't talk about stuff that has nothing to do with us.
This is fraud.
What doesn't matter? We're not in charge of fraud. It doesn't.
Fraud doesn't matter.
You have to go to the county. You have to go to the county. The county can't. No, Joe.
Fraud don't matter.
Joe, that's not what I said, Joe.
That's what you said.
No, it's not a council matter, okay? How many times do you have to tell you the same thing? It's not a council matter whether you have a fraudulent deed.
Okay.
Deeds are controlled by the county.
Right.
Bucks County, so you need to go to Bucks
Well, they're
County.
covering this up for Bensalem Township, Gilmore Associates.
Okay, they're not covering up.
They're covering this up because Bob Owner built the illegal addition, and you guys covered this up.
Okay.
You see, this is a deed here at the Poppy's property.
Go
right here,
to-
done by Pickering Courts.
Go to
in
county.
1942.
Go to
right?
county. Go to county.
I already went to the county.
Well, go
Okay?
again.
I already went to the county.
Go to
Now they're
county
gonna- First of all, when they moved that dirt, they need an engineering drawing, correct?
I'll have to ask Mr.
Do they
Quinton.
need
I'm
extra,
not-
do they
I'm
have
not
an
a-
engineering drawing?
For what?
For Poppy's property before they start moving the dirt to find out where the property line is? Is there an
We're
engineer?
removing the dirt that you've been complaining about.
No engineering drawing. Is there gonna be a silk fence put up? There is, yeah. You gotta have an engineer to do this. You can't do this without an engineer.
Well, Quinton.
You gotta find out where the property line is, and I need an engineer to sign off on it. And not Gilmore, because Gilmore is very corrupt.
Do you want the
13 lane surveyors.
Do you want the, I understand. Do you want,
You understand, that's
Yeah.
unbelievable fraud, to have 13 lane surveyors.
well, you need to
mark
get
the
an,
property correctly.
you need to get an attorney and
I
go to the
can't get an
county.
attorney, can't get one, I spent 280,000, I offered one attorney 100,000, Granger firm, I paid him 3,000, he called me 3 days later and said, I don't wanna handle this. I said, I'll give you 50,000 right now, and when you get my property back, I'll give you the other 50. No, we don't wanna handle it, sorry. Michael Kerdner, same deal, he filed encroachment. I go in front of Judge Mellon, he walks into the courtroom and puts a pen in my hand and wants me to sign him out in front of the judge. And he says, the judge
Why
says,
is
what's
that?
going on here?
Why does your attorney want
Because,
to out?
listen, these people are corrupt, okay? This township is corrupt.
Oh, okay, so
It's corrupt.
it's-
Mr. Knowles, okay? I cannot sell my property. I called every real estate company, everyone. Remax, you name it, I called them. I cannot sell my property because the area I'm paying taxes on is part of Poppy's property.
So you need to get to the county and resolve.
I went to the county. Okay, there's
nothing
They
I
tell
can
me
do.
to come back to
Well, there's
Bensalem,
nothing I
it's their
can do.
problem.
Well, they're incorrect.
It's like this.
They're incorrect, Joe. I'm telling you. They're incorrect.
They're incorrect?
Yeah.
Now he's gonna raise the land next to me even higher. Where's that water going?
Joe,
Is there a
it's-
stormwater management plan? That is your problem.
they're putting a berm in so the water goes the other way, and it's adjacent to his property on
Come
the
on,
other
Mr.
side.
Pies, or Mr. Knowles,
Well,
come on.
if you after the works, if you want the work done, you said you come up here every
Well,
week.
I do.
asking
And
us to
before
get
you do
dirt
the
removed.
work, you need an engineer.
We're getting the dirt removed.
Okay, you
so
need an engineer before you start moving the dirt.
We have engineers. So
You do? Okay, then I need an engineering plan with an engineer stamping it. That's what I
Okay,
need.
well,
I don't need somebody that's coming in
you're gonna
and
delay-
moving the dirt like they did last time. Without
Okay.
no silk fence, I'm getting screwed by Bensalem Township.
Okay,
I want to
Joe.
move out of here. I can't stand this township.
Okay.
This is the worst township to live in.
Okay.
As an Irish, Italian American, I'm getting screwed.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
I
Joe.
wish I was born a person of color, or maybe something like an Indian or something.
Joe, come on, we just
Because
stop it.
no.
Joe, stop
As
it.
an Irish American, I'm getting screwed.
Okay, all right.
But it's not right.
All right, Joe.
How many times have I come here?
Okay,
How many
Joe.
times have I come here?
Well, yeah, but you say
I
ridiculous
got
things.
to measure his nose before he starts.
It doesn't
talking.
matter. Yeah.
Because I
All
guarantee
right,
his nose before
Joe.
he's
Joe.
done.
Okay, Joe. Take care. We're getting the pile removed like you wanted to.
I'll be here next week.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, okay. Here, matter of fact, I want to give this here to Mr. Pizer, since he's the township attorney.
Yeah.
I want to give him the wrong deed and the fraudulent deed done by Gilmore.
Okay, he'll send.
Maybe we
Okay.
can look into it.
Okay.
You know,
All right, Joe. All right, Joe.
This up for Bensalem.
All right, Joe.
I got the proof.
Okay.
I just need to go in front of the judge that's honest. That's what I need, somebody who's honest.
Okay, there's nobody else for public comment. Public comment. Okay, we're closing public comment. Is there other business? Phil, do you have any other business?
No, sir.
Deb,
He went out the front door.
Deb, you have
He
any?
went out the front door.
Deb, you haven't been, okay.
Phillies Flyers, let's go home.
Mr. Pizzo, do you have any other business?
I apologize, I meant to say at the beginning of the meeting, the mayor asked me to let all of you know and let the public know that because of our meeting being on a Tuesday rather than Monday, He had plans that had been made long in advance of a personal nature, and so he was otherwise unable to be here tonight.
Okay.
Were he here, he would like to say, as I'm sure all of you will, what a wonderful event our fall festival was. It was well attended. The concert was wonderful. The fireworks, everyone.
Was tremendous.
We've gotten rave reviews, and he wanted to publicly extend kudos to all of the township personnel who were involved. There are a lot of moving parts to pull off a day like Fall Festival, and for it to go so seamlessly is the result of many, many, many months of planning and hard work by all of the township departments. So he wanted me again to extend those words publicly, and otherwise, go Phils.
Okay.
1-0.
Score is 1-0
Harper home run.
Phillies, top of the fifth.
Ms. Benitez, you have anything else that you would like to add?
Flyers are winning 3-2.
Yeah, I echo that. Fall Festival was tremendous. We had a lot of great feedback. I appreciate everybody really rolling their sleeves up, getting it done. We had a delay with the rain delay, and we still got it together and had a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody participating and being together with our community. I'll take the words of Deb over here. It's been a great week in sports for Philadelphia. So we're all really excited about what's to come with that. We're hoping we maintain that energy and keep the wins coming. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is that we had an incident on Saturday night throughout the township, predominantly in the Neshaminy Mall area, with regards to, we'll call it a car club. And there was a big concern. I want you to know that council and the police department have been in communication regarding your concerns and the incident, and we expect that the police department will be coming out with more information for the community tomorrow, so please keep an eye out on that. And I'd like to thank the police department for, their active participation and being on top of this to come up with solutions for our community. That's all. Thank you.
Ms. Champion, do you have?
So thank you to everybody who came out for the Fall Festival. I don't need my glasses anymore. It was a fantastic night. Love the beer garden. I thought that was a great thing, especially since the Eagles were on. The fireworks were fantastic. The food trucks, hopefully next year we won't have a rain delay and be able to have more food trucks and have all the other events that the Parks and Recs and Public Works and everybody works so hard to do. I'm going to thank especially, give a huge shout out to a member of Director McVeigh's team who took time this week to explain more of how there is a great partnership between the police department and the school district to make sure our children are kept safe, and how they will continue to make improvements and review areas due to a concern I had, and I really appreciate that. And go Phillies, go Sixers, go everybody.
Flyers.
It's a great with Flyers tonight, everybody. Let's get home and be able to watch the rest of this game, and have a good night, and until next time. Oh, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so make sure, ladies, that you take care of whatever you need to take care of. Prayers for all of those who we've lost to breast cancer, and prayers for all those who are fighting it at this point in time.
Okay, Mr. Polari, do you have anything to add?
Nothing.
Mr.
Go watch the Phillies.
Mr. Kisselback, how about you?
I'm just going to repeat what everybody said, and I agree. And when we arrived at Pride Day, I was really surprised because there's hardly anyone there, and I thought this is going to be a result of delaying it. But within a half an hour, it was packed, and so everybody enjoyed themselves, and it was
Very nice.
very, very nice. Okay, that's it, Joe. But thanks.
Yeah,
And by the way, Mr. Knowles ran a golf outing for St. Charles Borromeo, the
School,
the,
yep.
School, and he did an excellent job. He did a nice job. He knows his golf.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, we raised some money. It's for the kids, and they can continue in 100,
thank you, Joe.
102 years. Yeah, thanks a lot. And then I just wanted to, I would just reiterate a little bit, the Fall Festival Pride Day was very, very nice, and it was really nice to see all the kids on the playground and, just utilizing the space of our Central Park. And I didn't make it to the fireworks, but I heard them from my house, and they looked nice from where I was standing. But it was real nice. So let's hope the Phillies continue to play well, and let's go Phils tonight, and we'll see you November 14th. Thank you. Make a motion, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.